All right, example 31. So on this one, we're going to go ahead and do the steps of completing the square on this function here. Now, even if the 10 was moved to the other side, there's no numbers that multiply to negative 10 that can add to negative 6. You always want to try factoring first if you're asked to solve, because it's the easiest way. But if you can't, you're given a couple other methods to use. So in this case, this is the only one where you get to move the 10 to the other side or move the constant term over. The reason why is you're creating this blank here in order to complete the square. Okay, so we're going to create a new c value on the left side by doing b divided by 2 squared. So if I do negative 6 divided by 2 squared, that's a 6, not a b. Okay, I get 9, positive 9. Okay, that's going to create x and then 3 and 3 minus minus. They will always end up matching. But here's the part that we missed. Because you inserted this 9 to the left side, it's no longer the same equation that you started with. So whatever you do to the left side, you always have to do to the right side to keep it balanced. I added in a 9 here. It's also got to go to the other side. Okay, put these two together. A trick that you can do as far as factoring goes is it's always going to be half of this middle term. Or you can go ahead and think to yourself what multiplies to 9 and adds to negative 6. Now you solve it like you would a square root. And we actually did some of that in the earlier part of these videos. So square root both sides. Now, if you get a number that you can break down at all, I would go ahead and do that. If they ask you to round in the context of the problem, go ahead and actually calculate everything as a decimal. Otherwise, you are defaulted to keep the square root the same. Keep it as exact answer as you can. Add the 3. And remember that these are actually two answers. 3 plus root 19, 3 minus root 19. And you would calculate those two separately. So let's try it again. Let's do this next one. Okay, so this one was one where the 4 or the 21 is on the same side. So this one has got to add to the other side. And always double check it. See if you can factor it first. I think you can. But we're going to solve it by completing the square because that's what the instructions asked us to do. So we're probably going to get some nice numbers on this one. And that's not a bad thing. Okay, b divided by 2 squared would be 4 divided by 2 squared, which is a 4. Because I added in here, I got to do it to the other side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip writing them as two binomials and just write them together because I know it's going to be the same thing. What multiplies to 4 that adds to 4? Well, that's 2 and 2 equals 25. Love this one because 25 is a nice number to square root. Okay, and I get x, subtract 2 from both sides. X equals negative 2 plus or minus 5. Now you cannot leave it like this. You can only leave it like this if there's a square root in it because you can't combine a whole number and a square root. But because these are both whole numbers, you need to go ahead and write them as their final step. So negative 2 plus 5 is 3. Negative 2 minus 5 is negative 7. So because you get whole numbers here, chances are you could have factored it in the beginning and didn't have to do all these steps. But because it asked us to, we're going to go, we went ahead and solved it that way. Let's do this one. Now, odd ones are the most unfriendly. It's because you've got fractions. But that's okay. We can still do it. Nobody loves fractions. So let's go ahead and do this one. Okay.